Planting seeds. There's no glory in it. It takes work. It takes sacrifice. And it takes time. Fields must be plowed. Seeds must be planted. Crops must be cared for. And we do it all for the promise of a harvest. God's word says, "They that sow in tears shall reap in joy. He that goeth forth and weepeth, bearing precious seeds, shall doubtless come again with rejoicing, bringing his sheaves with him." Planting seeds is never easy. It usually happens without any notice or celebration. Nobody claps for you when you're out toiling in the dry, dusty field. In fact, most people don't even know you're there. But God knows. And just as He's the one who brings the rain, He's the one that will bring the harvest. In the days just before the grand opening of New Heights Baptist Church, Pastor Reyes knocked on the door of the Reynolds family. He met Teresa, and she was interested in the new church that was getting ready to start in the elementary school near her home. She told her husband John, and he invited Pastor Reyes to come back to the house and tell them more about the church. John and Teresa attended the first Sunday, joined the second Sunday, and began looking for opportunities to serve. John asked for a handful of tracts and went door to door in his neighborhood, inviting people to our new church. One day, he met Ruby Whiting at her front door, who passed the invitation on to her daughter Brenda. Brenda's husband had just recently been saved, and they were looking for a church for their family. Orlando, Brenda, and their 2 girls came the next week. Nobody knew 11 years ago what God had in store for the Pineda family. A seed had been planted, and over time, through the loving nurture of a local church, it began to grow. On March 24th, 2013, Pastor Pineda started Liberty Baptist Church just south of Albuquerque. Thousands of people have heard the gospel, and many have been saved through this young ministry. A seed that was planted in 2003 is bearing fruit in 2015. Jesus described this process so well in the parable of the sower, where he said, "But other fell into good ground and brought forth fruit, some an 100-fold, some 60-fold, some 30-fold." While serving as the bus ministry leader for New Heights Baptist Church, Orlando met a family with 4 children living at home. One of them was a junior high boy named Daniel. It wasn't long before Daniel trusted Jesus Christ as his Savior and began riding the bus to church. Daniel invited his sister, Diana, and she was saved not long afterwards. Since then, all 4 children have been saved. Diana is a senior at West Coast Baptist College, and Daniel is a freshman at Hiles-Anderson Baptist College. Through careful cultivation, untold hours of investment, much prayer, and great financial sacrifice, the seeds that were planted on a bus route are bearing fruit in regions far beyond where they were planted.
I started attending New Heights Baptist Church 3 years ago. It all started when Miss Pam was driving into my driveway when I was telling my sister goodbye. Miss Pam came in and asked me if she told me about her church, and I kind of didn't want to listen. But before that, I had been praying that I would find a church to go to because we weren't attending any church. And she came and told me about her church, and I told her like I really didn't want to listen. But then she said, "Do you know 100% that you're going to go to heaven when you die?" And I was like, So I started listening to her and what she had to say, and it was then that I got saved. She then asked me to go to one of the church services, and I didn't attend right away, but then I went like the next weekend, and as we went into the parking lot, we felt strange and didn't want to go. We were undecided whether we should just turn back, but we were like, no, let's give it a try. As soon as we walked in, we knew that's where we belonged. Everybody was so nice and very friendly, and it was just like we belong there. So it's a great.
Yeah.
You tired?
Yeah.
You tired?
So yes.
So you didn't want to listen at first,
No, I didn't.
but then she asked you about going to heaven.
Yes, and I listened, and that's Armando. That is I listened, and I liked what she had to say, and that's when I got saved. And so yeah, when we started going, and everybody is just so friendly, greeted us like we were one of them, one of the family, and so that's when we started going, and we've been going since.
After our first week, I think it was first or second week, Pastor came and brought us our pie. Came for the pie visit, so and that's the day that I got saved. He talked to me, and everything made sense, and it was just great.
My husband and I had decided that when he retired from NASA, we were going to move to Albuquerque, New Mexico, because I really like the weather here. Ida was one that would just step in, whatever needed to be done. And God blessed him with the ability to just figure things out. It was very important to my husband that we found a house that was close to a church that we were going to be attending, because we were active in church. The Lord brought us to a church that preached straight from the Bible, the truth, and a church that had some wonderful friends that really cared about us. The thing that really impressed us about New Heights was that it still had the so-called old-fashioned type of church, singing hymns, preaching from the King James Bible was very important to us, the standards that we saw.
Julie's sister lives here in Albuquerque as well with her husband, and they had received a flyer from New Heights Baptist Church on their door, and had started attending New Heights. Started growing there a little bit, and when we came out on one visit to visit her sister and husband, we decided to go and visit New Heights as well. When we got here, we knew very clearly that was the church that God had put us at, and we were excited to see what was happening at New Heights and the ministry there, and just the growth that you wanted as a pastor to be able to reach this city. And so we started to get involved on the earliest chance we got.
At the end of July, we joined New Heights Baptist Church. We made some wonderful friends there, and the Lord knew I was going to need that, because once Ida passed away and I decided I was going to come back to Albuquerque, that I was going to need these friends.
When Armando was 2, he was in the hospital in the ICU for 10 days. I didn't know what to do. We were almost about to lose him. We had just started going to New Heights. I had my sister call Pastor at the church office, and the nighttime, it was already closed, but Pastor called me back the very next morning, and he was there. He was helping me with support, with prayer, and just with anything that I needed. I know if I ever have any trouble, I can always go to him or anybody in the church family who will always offer, even if it's just the prayer.
My wife and I have now for almost 2 years been ministering on the campus of UNM with a Monday night Bible study at a restaurant right across from campus, and have seen just some growth in the people that are attending, as well as other things that are taking place there, and visitors as well. And so we're just every facet that we're able to help out, team outreach, and just the UNM campus, children's church, other things as well from time to time we try to get involved with, just to see this ministry really grow and be successful.
I sort of see myself as his backup ninja for all of those things that he just mentioned. And just being with and helping out the college-age girls, talking with them, mentoring them, visiting with them. And I also get to be a substitute teacher sometimes for Miss Holly's Sunday school class, which I very much enjoy. I just kind of try to help wherever things are needed. I write skits, I bake food, I like that part a lot, and just try and help in whatever way I can.
Our kids love it. They love Sundays, going to church. Armando, he's ready to go to church. Every Sunday he always asks, is it church day? Is it church day today? Get ready. So he has us on the go, you know, as soon as we wake up. Mariano's been great. He's learned a lot. He's helped us save his tata, his grandpa.
Wow. My mom asked me to save my grandpa because he wasn't doing so well and we didn't know if he was gonna make it or not. And so about 2 weeks after she said that, because I was nervous, I thought I was gonna do good. I'd done it. We sat there. I went through all the steps. I read all the verses, and then I prayed with him. And it was nice. And I liked leading him to the Lord and getting him saved. And from then, he has his ups and downs, but I think the Lord's been watching over him.
I think it's wonderful that we have a bus ministry, and I'm really praying that we'll be able to get more workers and more buses, because I think that's important, because the youth is the future of tomorrow. I keep praying for our teens and that they would be totally on fire for the Lord. And through the teenagers and the younger kids in the bus ministry, we can reach the parents too, hopefully, and see parents saved and see them come to church and attend faithfully. I'm really excited about the stewardship program, and I had been involved in the stewardship program back in Ohio and just saw what wonderful things can be done with the church.
Things like fixing the roof that we're talking about. It's things like just updating the grounds. It's things like buying extra buses or hiring extra pastors, whatever it is. And the more that we give, the more tools that God has at New Heights to use, and the more tools you as the pastor have to use to glorify God and build this ministry for Him. And I would just encourage people to get involved in that.
I think it's important to God that we have a nice facility. So, and I think we do. It's nice. We just need to upgrade it a little.
Since September of 2003, God has consistently provided a place for the New Heights Baptist Church family to meet. From the humble beginnings at an elementary school with its mismatched chairs and dark hallways, to a shopping center that needed to be completely remodeled, God has wonderfully provided. Each step has challenged our faith, but as we have followed God's leading, He has opened doors in miraculous ways. Since purchasing the property at 5300 Iliff, we have been able to improve many aspects of our campus. Every dollar invested in the improvement of our property is a seed that is planted. It takes time, energy, faith, and lots of work, but those seeds are growing into a harvest of souls. More people are attending New Heights Baptist Church than ever. Every classroom is being used multiple times each week. Young adults who were children in our church not that long ago are faithfully serving the Lord. Teens who used to be toddlers in our nursery are becoming effective soul winners. The precious seeds that we have sown in tears are being reaped in joy.
Part of giving, and something that I've heard since I got saved 11 years ago, was that you're supposed to give your tithes, you're supposed to give your offerings. It's a commandment in the Bible, and we might see the pastor stand up, or at a missions conference the evangelist stand up, or the missionary stand up and tell you to give and tell you about the promises that God has for you, and just you really have in the back of your mind, especially as a new Christian, is this really the truth? Is this worthwhile, or do they have some other agenda? And the 11 plus years that I've been saved now, I haven't been on staff anywhere. I haven't been part of a ministry as an employee or anything like that. And God has really shown me that His promises are true, and that those promises in the Bible about Him giving back and you reaping what you sow are just so true. And if I could express to a new Christian just to have some faith in God in those initial years and see what He can do, I would just have them to give those dollars that God lays on their heart to give, and just see what He can do with them.
I've always just prayed, Lord, just lay in my heart as far as giving. And when the Lord puts an amount in my heart, I'm like, okay, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but this is what you laid in my heart, and I'm going to do it. And He has, every single time, He has supplied.
I mean, obviously, giving and stewardship is something that we've learned, and just something that's dear to our hearts. And we'd obviously like the people, that we minister with to catch the same vision and catch the same understanding of that. So we could, as a church, move forward and much more quickly than we possibly could if people don't necessarily understand those things from the get-go.
And again, it wasn't how much you could give, but how much of your heart you were willing to give. And after a lot of discussion, we decided to give a very significant amount of money. And we gave that. We were not expecting God to recompense us with that amount. It wasn't like, okay, we wrote you this check, God, and check in the mailbox to see how He was going to return it. But right about that time, we were needing to move. And we didn't have any cancellation penalties moving out of our current apartment. When we moved to our new apartment, we didn't have to pay any of the registration fees. We didn't have to pay move-in fees. There's a fee for everything in DC. And so by the time you added up what all of these various circumstances, how it had happened, it came out dollar-wise more than what we had given at the time. But we weren't looking to receive that blessing, but yet God chose to do it anyway.
God has always blessed our needs. We've never gone without.
It's hard to, when you're newly saved, understand, the cause and effect, the reaping and sowing, all those things that are really happening with your giving, and the promises that God gives about returning blessings to you, pressed down and shaken together and just overflowing, and just the amazing things that can happen. But I saw people that practiced this giving, and I saw the blessings that were heaped upon them and the things that happened in their lives. And like Julie had said, we've now, not for many years, but for a few years, started to practice these things and really have seen God do some amazing things.
It's true. No matter how hard you try, you cannot outgive God. And it's not necessarily always financial. It may be financial in your giving, but it can be spiritual blessings, it can be material blessings. God always does so much more than what we can even comprehend Him doing. And I would challenge people, no matter what you're already doing as far as giving is concerned, increase it and see what God does.
Just really focus on doing what God tells you to do, and He'll take care of the rest.
I was not going to get paid. And I remember telling Ida, what are we going to do? Because we still had bills to pay. And his response, which doesn't surprise me, was, God will supply. And God used the people in my work, most of them were not saved, to take up a collection in order that I would have the funds to be able to pay bills. And it was a very generous collection that they took up.
Every dollar that I've given has just returned to me. It's never been something where I've regretted giving the money. It's never been something where I haven't seen God do something amazing with the finances or the time or the anything that we gave of ourselves, not returning just wonderfully, and just seeing the church be able to grow and do things that they wouldn't be able to do otherwise is pretty amazing. And just the lessons that I've just learned time and time again is, again, give God your money and He'll be able to do some amazing things with it.
Always try and give a little bit more, and see what God does in your life. It will grow you in your Christian walk. It'll grow your faith by seeing what God does. I think giving is one of the most powerful parts of our Christianity outside of our Bible reading time and our prayer time, because it has a ripple effect, and you don't always see the outcome necessarily of what is happening when you give. But then down the road you can look back and just see, wow, God did this, God did this, God did this, God did this. And it doesn't have to be a large amount necessarily, but God can take whatever you have, if it's little or if it's big, and He can do these amazing transformative things, and it changes you.
The seeds you place into the ground will probably not be noticed. But that's the way God made seeds. They grow in the dark, damp soil. They send their roots down deep until one day they burst into the light. No longer a seed, but a plant. No longer a dream, but a reality.
You know, I know there's people out there that don't have a family and don't know what it feels like for somebody to care for them. And if you attend this church, you're gonna feel the love of this whole church, and you're gonna see that these people have your back, and they're gonna be there for you no matter what.
You feel like they're gonna take you in and they're gonna help you through all the hard times you're gonna go through.
I'm happy that I'm back here in Albuquerque. I'm happy that I'm attending New Heights Baptist Church. I like how busy the church is. Especially for me, I like keeping busy right now with just now being just me.
I want to be part of something where the pastor and the church have a vision really just to grow and see their area saved, and just see the nation changed, and see our leaders changed.
They're just always there. Our church is awesome.
I want to get old and gray serving Jesus together.